they were, and as accustomed as they are to earthquakes. I mean, Japan has an average of 20 earthquakes a day. Most of them are extremely small, but they're accustomed to earthquakes. But this one was something far beyond their imagination.
Do you think that there's enough helicopters in Japan, or do you think that they actually need helicopters from outside?
Oh, they need helicopters from outside. They need all the help they can get right now.
Who gives clearance for that?
Well, that would be our politicians. For our part of it, or our part of the help, that would be our politicians. And I think there's a need for people to just contact their politicians and say, look, we need to do something.
It's interesting that anytime there's any crisis, it usually ends up being a military operation that goes in.
The fact is, most people don't want to admit this, but we have a military government. Our president is the 5-star general, and the flag of the United States is not the civilian flag. The flag of the United States is the military flag, because the war between the states had never been declared over. The federal government is a military government, and this is basic government 501, stuff they don't teach you in government 101, but it's true. We have a military government, and so anytime the federal government acts, it's generally through the military.
So does this take a presidential directive to send military aid?
At some point, it would take a congressional directive and then probably be approved by the president, yes, by the 5-star general rather than the president.
Say that one more time. I want to make sure I really get what you just said.
The president is both the civilian president and the military 5-star general. And so the Congress would have to approve such a thing, and then it would have to be okayed by the 5-star general for the military to take action. The 5-star general being the president, but he would be acting as the general of the armed forces rather than as the president of the United States.
I didn't know he was a 5-star general. I don't think a lot of people know.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely have a military government here.
For sure?
Yeah, Yeah, most people don't know that, or it's some fact that they learned in school and was on a test, and then they forgot all about it,
So is every president a 5-star general?
That's right. The office of President of the United States is automatically granted the rank of a 5-star general.
Interesting. Very interesting. If, for whatever reason, it doesn't happen in the way you're talking about, meaning humanitarian aid is not brought in, there's no directive to go ahead and bring helicopters in of food and water. That's a lot of people to bring food and water to by helicopter,
Yeah, it is. And, the Japanese people are very organized. They've lived with these major earthquakes for, all of history. And when I was talking to the guy the other night in Tokyo, he was saying that they are organized, that everything is going according to the organization, and everything is running, the recuperation is starting to run smoothly. The problem is they don't have the supplies, they don't have the equipment and everything else, because a lot of that was destroyed. And, he was saying that, even with no food in the grocery stores or anything like that, things like looting is totally, absolutely unheard of and just not happening because they are an organized culture.
Right, and cooperation is a big deal. Deal, culturally speaking. What about the fact that in order for you to do what you do and for the science of controlled remote viewing to be what it is, our understanding, and therefore people in decision-making positions, are going to have revelation. They're going to have a kind of revelation that there's a protocol to transcend time and space and gather data.
That's right. Mm-hmm. And, that revelation has already happened. Many of our leaders. The whole problem seems to be that the word psychic and psychic spies and all that, spying and the word psychic gets attached to the controlled remote viewing, which is an information collection science. And as long as those two four-letter words get attached to it, spying and psychic, then it's going to be a political hot potato.
Got it.
I've often thought that we should come up with some new name and just secretly not relate to remote viewing or controlled remote viewing or psychic spying or something, and then we might be acceptable and start being used. But at some point, the tool is far too valuable. The government and the leaders of our nation are going to have to say, hey, it's dumb not to use this. People ask me sometimes, is the government still using the remote viewing? And I always respond that they would be stupid not to. But then that raises the question as to whether or not our government ever does anything stupid. So, I'm afraid the answer is that it does. And at some point, the government and our leaders are going to have to say, hey, it's stupid not to use this tool because it's a valuable one. But as far as the Japanese crisis right now, it's kind of painful to me to know that I have the tools and I have the ability to be of help to so many people, and to sit here and nobody seems to call to ask for the help.
Kim Greenhouse called you.
Oh, yeah. I am very...
I know that you're sitting there. It's kind of like a bow and arrow or a surgeon. You can actually help with relief. I really think that remote viewing can help with relief. Let's talk about that application, can we?
Okay, there are logistics involved in simply getting food to different places and getting people out of situations where they have no help, and getting not only help to the people, but also people to where there is help. And there are a lot of logistics involved. Controlled remote viewing was designed to help with logistics of the plans and intentions of leaders, the actions of leaders, how to predict very accurately what will happen if a certain plan is followed. And so, the controlled remote viewing would be of tremendous help in just working the logistics of relief.
I was going to say, because there's so much damage, it's not like there's a map already ready for everybody to know what roads can be used, where you can walk, where you can drive a bike, where food is going to be, where water is going to be. It's like it's all spread out and sporadic, and I don't think it's confirmed. That's where I thought it could be really helpful.
Yeah, the town we lived in that we really, really loved was Misawa, which is up in the north part of Japan. And from what I've been able to find out, it was just, a major part of the town was just demolished. And there are smaller towns around nearer the coast that they're just not there anymore. And, many of the people wanted to go to higher ground, especially those along the coast. And because earthquakes had been the way they had before, their thinking was that higher ground would be the second floor of their house. Well, of course, then the whole house was swept away, and just, as you see the films on the news of all those houses being swept away, what you have to realize is that in almost every one of those houses, there are people there, and that in most of those where the houses were just swept away and tumbled over into the water, those people are gone.
It's really shocking to watch. It's so shocking to watch. what happened. I'm sure that people are still in a state of